From the studios in San Diego, California, this is Frank Fired Up here on the Mixed Up Sports Network, coming to you live here on this Tuesday. It is the second day of May, 2017, and goodness, we're already 4 months into the year, starting the fifth. It has absolutely flown by, especially this most recent weekend, which definitely flew by, and it had a lot of news. It had, of course, the Yankees with their dramatic comeback on Friday night. The Mets with their absolute, I don't even know what you can call it, on Sunday. The end of the NFL draft, but we'll begin today with the Yankees, who on Friday completed a comeback that was more improbable than you would have thought. I was flipping back and forth between the Mets and the Yankees. And the Mets are starting to get to a point where they're pretty much wrapping the game up. Zimmerman hits the home run in the eighth inning, and then Familia gets the bases loaded, gets a strikeout, and then Collins takes Familia out for edging, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. Um, and I'm flipping back and forth between the Mets and the Yankees, and I turn the game on just as Aaron Judge hits his first home run, which made it, I think it was 5-0 at that point, made it 5-1 was the Aaron Judge home run. Then Trumbo hits the grand slam in the top of the next inning. It's 9-1. The game's over. Flip back to it. It's 11-4, and I'm like, yeah, this game's definitely over. There's no point in it. Let me watch the Mets. They're about to implode, so I'll watch my team and we'll get it over with. I flip the Yankee game back on, and it's just after Aaron Judge hits his second home run of the game. It's 11-8 now. I'm thinking, geez, really? And we're going into the bottom of the ninth here. The Mets are going into the bottom of the ninth also. My team's the Mets. I'm focusing on the Mets. I turned back. I said, you know what? Just for laughs, let me see if the Yankee game is still on. And I see a WB Mason commercial. I'm like, there is no way, because the only reason this game is on is because it's in extra innings. There's absolutely no way. And go figure, it was still on. The Yankees tied it up in the ninth, and then they hit the three-run home run to win it. It was Holiday with the three-run home run to win it, 14-11. I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me? This team is not supposed to come back from a 9-1 deficit. And they did. Was a heck of a lot more entertaining than the Met game. Then you had everyone in that lineup hitting home runs out of the ballpark on Saturday. Sunday, you get into a late game situation. I believe it was extra innings, if I remember correctly. You get into an extra inning situation, down 7-4, bases loaded. Here comes Aaron Judge, and you half expect him to hit a home run. I mean, Judge has been on absolute fire. It was the 11th. Judge has been on fire. And if this kid continues on the path that he is on, he is going to probably be one of the greatest Yankee hitters of all time. Because he's not just hitting home runs, he is hitting home runs far. He's hitting them off the restaurant. Now, Manny Machado hit one over the restaurant this past weekend. But Judge has been crushing home runs. These aren't little dinkers over just barely in the second row. No, these are gone. And he strikes out with the bases loaded. Which, hey, for these big power hitters, that's what you get. They're either hitting them a mile or they're not hitting them at all. Nobody knows that better than the Mets right now. But as I said on Friday, that the They passed the test with the Boston Red Sox. Oh, wait until the Yankees play Boston, then we'll get a gauge on where they really are. Yeah, you're right. And then I said on Friday, this is the real test. If you can take on Baltimore, who currently has the lead in the division, if you can take on Baltimore and you can compete with Baltimore, the Yankees are going to have a shot this season. And not only did they beat Baltimore, they embarrassed Baltimore on Friday night, they pounded them into the dirt on Saturday, and scared the living daylights out of them on Sunday. And then they follow that up with a 7-1 loss against the Blue Jays last night. Which, hey, those games happen. And like I said, Toronto rather, they were what, 2-13? Yeah, that wasn't staying. That wasn't going to be the case for much longer. They're on a 3-game winning streak, looking to make it 4 against the Yankees tonight. Get your lineups a little later. But you are looking at a Yankee team who I honestly thought was going to struggle to win 75 games this year. They are now a game out of first place in the AL East, looking as strong as you can get. Who knows? I mean, this is shaping up to be something for the Yankees. What? We don't know. But this is shaping up to be something. And now to the Mets, who again on Friday get away from home. Exactly what the doctor ordered. You're playing against the Nationals. You're playing against Max Scherzer. You have DeGrom on the mound, who strikes out. What did he strike out? He struck out 12 over 6, which is unconscious. Averaging 2 strikeouts an inning. That's incredible. Darno had a big night at the plate, hit 2 home runs. Mets manufactured a couple more, and turns out that's what they needed. Zimmerman hit them all series. And then you get to Sunday, which was awful for 2 reasons. One of the reasons, you had a prelude early in the week. And if you know anything about the Mets, you know that they are not the brightest bulb in the box. They always have this deficiency where something always seems to go wrong. The prelude to what happened on Sunday, what happened earlier in the week when Syndergaard wakes up with a bad left bicep, which I figured he pulled while he was sleeping. He had to have. Came home from the ballpark fine. Wakes up in the morning. My bicep, my arm's hurting. Had to have heard it while he was sleeping. There's no other explanation. He had to have heard it while he was sleeping. Doctors say, hey, let's get him in the MRI. Nope. Syndergaard says no. Okay. Alderson gives the line. Do you want to put him in the machine? Yeah. Yeah, I kind of do. But everyone takes it as ha ha funny until the second inning when he tears his lat. Now no one's laughing. This is something I called back at the beginning of March. I said he was going to get hurt this year. And when you hear Alderson on the broadcast last night saying this is not a week by week thing, this is possibly a month by month issue. There is no timetable for his return. You sit there and go, I knew it. What else is new? What else is new with this team? To the point where the national announcers even said it. There's something wrong. There is no reason why Cabrera's been hurt, Lucas Duda's on the DL, Wright's never playing again, Lagares started the year on the DL. Lord knows when Matz is coming back. Lord knows when Lugo's coming back. Wilmer Flores is hurt. How do you have all of these injuries a month into the season? 1 month into the season, you have 9 players on the disabled list. Add Syndergaard to that list now. Have you heard anything about Matz? Have you heard anything about Lugo? All of a sudden, the pitching depth that the Mets had, they don't have it anymore. We're going to go into the year with Syndergaard, DeGrom, Harvey, Wheeler, and Lugo, maybe Gazelman, possibly Montero. Gil Martin may get a couple starts in there. Montero's been awful. Gil Martin's been in the minor leagues. Matz and Lugo have been hurt. Where has this pitching depth gone? The disabled list, that's right. There's something wrong. The Mets have gotten injured. So many players have gotten injured over just the last couple years. Now Cespedes is hurt too. He declined an MRI also. Why are you letting players decline an MRI? That should not be the case. Noah, we want you to get an MRI. No? No? Well, too bad. Get in the machine. That's the way it should be. Noah, we want you to get an MRI. Nope. Okay. Well, Doc, he said he didn't want to. So he doesn't want to. Really? That's the way you treat the ace of your staff? He says he's hurt. We want to treat him. Doctors want to do their doctoring. Nope. Okay. That's fine. Come on. It's almost embarrassing at this point. It really is. How are you going to let the player dictate what you do medically? I know my body, I'm fine. No, you don't, obviously. When was the last time you saw a pitcher that looked like a bodybuilder? He's got to have everything loose in that arm, otherwise he's going to get hurt. He comes in with 18 pounds of muscle packed on. Guess what? Everything's tight now. You walk into spring training looking like a power-hitting outfielder more than you do a 120-mile-an-hour throwing pitcher. Minus his second start, Syndergaard has had something wrong with him after every single start. Opening day was the blood blister. His second start was fine. His third start was his fingernail. Fourth start gets pushed back because of the bicep. He goes out for his fourth start and tears his lat. Thank you very much. Spend the rest of the year on the DL because for some reason the Mets can't get anyone back. The DL is like a bottomless pit. They keep throwing players in there and they never find their way out. Isn't part of the job of the trainers to rehabilitate players? I understand the Mets have had some pretty bad injuries, including the back with Lucas Duda and David Wright especially. Wright's never playing again. Let's just get that straight. David Wright is never going to play a baseball game again. He'll sit in the dugout all year. He ain't playing. Mets need a third baseman. They need a catcher, and now they need pitchers because half of them are hurt. It's disgusting. And again, how do you let Syndergaard go out there without getting an MRI? It makes no logical sense. The player says, "I know my body." Granted, you probably do, but you're the ace of our staff. We want to make sure you are okay. Absolutely unbelievable. Get to the lineups. The Yankees play in Toronto tonight. Matt Latos goes for Toronto. Latos in the rotation again after J.A. Happ got hurt. So Latos 0 for 0. 0 and 0 with a 3.27 ERA and 5 strikeouts. He goes up against Masahiro Tanaka, who pitched a no-hit shutout in Boston his last time through. Tonight for the Blue Jays, it'll be Kevin Pillar, Jose Bautista, Russell Martin, Kendrys Morales, Justin Smoke, Stephen Pierce, Ryan Goins, Devin Travis, and Chris Coughlin. For the Yankees tonight, it'll be Gardner, Headley, Holiday, Castro, Gregorius, Judge, Hicks, Carter, and Romine. That'll be the lineup for the Yankees. And Didi Gregorius, I'll tell you one guy who has really stepped up since coming back off of injury. Every time you see Didi Gregorius at the plate, he's doing something big. He's getting a big hit every which way you look. Tonight for the Mets, it'll be Matt Harvey going 2-1 with a 4.25 ERA, 18 strikeouts coming into tonight. They face R.A. Dickey, 2-2 with a 3.8 ERA, 16 strikeouts. He did leave his last start against the Mets with a left quad spasm. But he is in tonight. He has not missed a start, and I think if it acts up again tonight, not only do I think Atlanta will be quick to pull him, but I also think he will spend a little bit of time on the disabled list, or at least miss his next start. For the Mets tonight, it'll be Conforto, Cabrera, Bruce, Walker, d'Arnaud, Reyes, Rivera, Lagares gets a start in center, and Matt Harvey. So Granderson out, Lagares in. Other than that, pretty much the same exact lineup as last night. d'Arnaud moves up to the 5 instead of 7. For Atlanta, it'll be Ender and Ciarte, Brandon Phillips, Freddie Freeman, Matt Kemp, Nick Markakis, Adonis Garcia, Kurt Suzuki, Dansby Swanson, and R.A. Dickey. Again, same lineup pretty much for Atlanta, except Tyler Flowers and Kurt Suzuki switch. That, and also something I hadn't seen in a very, very long time, or I actually don't think I've ever seen it. If you watched the Met game last night, I cannot remember the last game where both teams led the game off with a leadoff home run. Conforto led the game off with a home run last night, and then Ender and Ciarte in the bottom of the first led the game off with a home run for Atlanta. I mean, that's. I cannot remember the last time. I cannot remember the last time I've seen that. Now, to the football. The draft concluded on Saturday, which then created a couple of very interesting moves. You had the Giants, who I was freaking out on Friday that they didn't sign a lineman, an offensive lineman, instead choosing to pick a tight end in the first round. And I figured, okay, it's fine. I'm sure. Sure, it's fine. They'll pick an offensive lineman in the second round or maybe even the third round. Yeah, no. No, they didn't. That was far from the case, as the Giants do not pick a lineman until their sixth and final pick. It it boggles my mind that the Giants can be this incompetent to pick up somebody on the offensive line in their final pick. It was like the 200 some odd overall pick. Okay. How can you be that negligent of your team's needs to not sign an offensive tackle until Adam Bisnowdy? You got me. In the sixth round. Meanwhile, you pick up Dalvin Tomlinson in the second round, a defensive tackle. Davis Webb, a quarterback. Now, the Davis Webb pick was very interesting, and we'll get to it. Wayne Gallman, a running back in the fourth. Avery Moss, a defensive end in the fifth. And then you have Bisnowdy in the sixth. Davis Webb brings up a very interesting conversation as to now, is Webb the heir to the throne in New York? When Eli Manning retires, is Webb the heir to the quarterback position? My thought would be yes. As I'm listening to the radio shows yesterday, I'm sitting there thinking, they're talking about, well, Eli's got a couple more years left in him, for sure. Webb is going to take 2 or 3 years to develop into a starting quarterback. This is not a Ryan Nassib situation here. They did not draft this kid this late into Eli Manning's career with full intentions of him being their backup quarterback. There is something with Webb that the Giants are looking at. Webb's going to take a couple years to develop, and I said it's perfect timing. Give Eli 2, maybe 3, maybe pushing it 4 years before he's done. By that time, Webb should be ready to go. This would not have been the perfect year for the Giants to draft a quarterback, because next year you have the quarterback heavy, quarterback solid draft class. But with that draft class, you are not looking at a first-round quarterback, because a first-round quarterback, you're saying, is going to replace Eli Manning either next year or the year after. So that is not what you're looking at as far as the quarterback position is going. You're looking for a guy who is going to take a couple years to develop, is going to need time, and then when ready, you throw him in. I have absolutely no problem with that draft pick. Absolutely no problem with the quarterback pick. The offensive tackle waiting until the sixth round, I have a problem with. The fact that you did not get an offensive lineman and did not, you didn't get an offensive lineman until the sixth round, and you did not get a middle linebacker, period, does not sit well with me. You get two defensive linemen, a tight end, and a running back before you get an offensive lineman. What is that offense? How often do you think Eli Manning is going to throw to Ingram if he's flat on his back because he can't do his drop because there's no offensive line? How well do you think that running back is going to be able to run if he doesn't have anyone on the offensive line that can tackle for him, that can block for him? Not good. Not good at all. For the Jets, you get two picks that I think you definitely needed. Jamal Adams and Marcus May, two defensive backs, about as perfect as you can get. Chad Hansen, as far as I know, a solid player. As far as the Jets go, this was probably a a slight job securing draft for McCagnon. He did as good a job as he was going to do in this year's draft. He picked about as good a he picked about as good a pick as you can get with that number one pick. Pardon me. You picked about as good a pick as you could have gotten with that first pick of Jamal Adams. A can't miss safety, game breaker, big a playmaker. He is the real deal. Then you get Marcus May out of Florida, another solid safety. Our Darius Stewart, wide receiver, Chad Hansen, wide receiver out of Alabama and Cal, Jordan Leggett as the tight end out of Clemson, Dylan Donahue out of West Georgia, Elijah McGuire out of UL Lafayette, Jeremy Clark, cornerback out of Michigan, Derek Jones, a corner out of Mississippi. So when I see this, I see secondary help. For the seven picks were secondary help. For the eight picks, rather, secondary help. Two wide receivers, fine, because now you're stuck with Decker, and that's it pretty much. A tight end of which you didn't have, a defensive lineman of which you're probably going to need soon, a running back in the sixth round to back up Matt Forte and Bilal Powell. It's a solid draft. It's about as solid as you need. They addressed with the two safeties, one and two, And with the two of the three picks that they had in the sixth, picking up two corners, they addressed what they needed, which was secondary help. The Jets actually did what the Giants usually do, which is address what they need and build off of that. About as perfect as you can get. We're running out of time for today. Really quick, we'll get you the Rangers, who lost on Saturday in probably one of the worst ways you could possibly lose, giving up a two-goal lead in the last 4 minutes of the third period, and then Ottawa scoring in double overtime. Just kind of a goal, a save that Lundqvist will tell you he should have had. They play tonight on the NBC Sports Network at 7 o'clock. Yankees playing the Blue Jays at 7 tonight on Yes and the MLB Network. Mets and Bravos playing tonight at 7:30. Tomorrow it'll be the New York Red Bulls taking on Sporting Kansas City, and then you'll have to wait until Sunday before New York City FC takes on Atlanta. So that is it for us today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all tomorrow.